Welcome, and I am now going to call to order our regular meeting of the Truckee-Donner Public Utility District on Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. Could we get a roll call, please, Shauna?
Thank you. Director Aguera?
Here.
Director Harris?
Here.
Vice President Bender?
Here.
President Finn?
Here.
The record will note that Director Lcfs is absent.
He will be missed. So our first order of business is consideration to adopt Resolution 2022-02, resolving a local emergency and authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the Board of Directors for the period of February 2nd, 2022 to March 4th, 2022, pursuant to the Brown Act provisions and AB 361, and adopt that resolution in support of virtual meetings. So I think I'm turning it over to Shauna for a moment.
So I didn't put together a presentation. I thought that the staff report was pretty together. This essentially will put together the first 30 days. The board will have to make these findings, which, essentially says that there is an imminent health or safety issue for us to stay within this virtual environment. The resolution will need to be approved and adopted every 30 days thereafter if we stay within that Zoom environment. So the way that February works, of course, tonight, should the board adopt this, we'll stay in the virtual environment for tonight's meeting. February 16th could then stay within it. And then as is March 2nd, because of the 30-day time frame, at which time, at the board's pleasure, we could either bring back another resolution to stay in that or come back in-house. So I'll turn this over to the board for your guys' discussion and potential adoption, unless District Council Gross has anything to add.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. So fellow board members, I am the one that said we should do this remotely because I just feel like it's been an eventful 6 weeks with the Omicron variant surging through. And I feel like everybody, I knew a lot of people that got sick, and I thought it was better to be safe than sorry for the moment. So hence here we are. So I am in favor of adopting this resolution, but I am happy to listen to other points of view.
I wish that, I really look forward to the day that COVID is no longer running our lives like this. But I agree with you that taking this step towards going back into the Zoom meetings is appropriate. And at the earliest time that we can get back into live meetings, let's try to get back. But for now, I'm in support of, continuing with the Zoom meetings.
Thank you, Director Harris. And I do feel the same way. If this recedes, which I'm hopeful that it will, back in person as soon as we can.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to add anything? Director Bender?
I'm in support. I think we're doing the right thing.
Okay, you broke up.
Somebody's got a lot of background noise.
Could probably be me.
Yeah, so I'm in full support. I think we're doing the right thing.
Okay. Director Aguera, would you like to add anything?
If the powers to be says we should have Zoom meetings, I'm all for it too. Let's just comply with whatever the ruling is. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So I guess I'm entertaining a motion. Would anybody like to make a motion?
Public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Public comment. Do we have any public comment on this item this evening?
No, Madam President.
Thank you. Okay. And with no public comment now, I think I'm happy to entertain a motion if somebody would like to make one.
Yeah,
I move to adopt it as presented by staff.
Thank you, Director Harris. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Director Bender, Vice President Bender. Shauna, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Director Aguera?
Yes.
Director Harris,
Yes.
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
The record will note Director Liliotis is absent.
Okay. Thank you very much. And on a similar note, I am not feeling particularly well tonight myself. So if I do forget things, please feel free to support me and point me back in the right direction here. So we're going to defer the pledge this evening. Do we have any changes to the agenda, Brian? Agenda.
President Finn, yes, we do. Staff would like to pull closed session item number 21. We'll present this item in a future closed session item.
Very good. Thank you. Which brings us to item number 6, which is public comment. So this is time that is set aside for the public to address the board on any issue that is not on the agenda. So testimony related to agendized matters should be addressed at the time that that item is considered. So do we have any public comment, any general public comment this evening?
No, President Finn.
Thank you, Shauna. Which brings us to directors' updates. I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to say in order of Director Harris, Director Bender, Director Aguera. Director Harris, do you have a director's comment this evening?
Yes, I don't really have much of a prepared one, but as I was looking over the agenda this week and going on to the website, I was actually pleasantly surprised with the general manager's message that Brian had put up on the website. It addressed a lot, I think, of the questions that are out there, and I just appreciated the communication that he had, you know, on the website there. So that was good. The other thing is just administrative wise, I'm actually going to leave this meeting for about an hour. It's from 6:30 to 7:30. I have a previous commitment, but I will be back at 7:30 as long as the meeting's still going on.
Thank you, Director Harris. Director Bender, do you have anything for us this evening?
No comments.
Thank you very much. Director Aguera?
Oh, nothing there. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. And I actually have nothing this evening either. So moving on to our general manager's update. Brian, what do you have for us tonight?
Thank you, President Finn. I have a couple of quick items. I know we have a packed full agenda on some presentations, so I'll be brief, but I wanted to, and I included this in my GM updates to staff and this board, but I also want to kind of make the announcement to the community as well that I'm very happy to report out, the district's very happy to report out a successful recruiting and hiring process for our new water utility director and IT directors. Very pleased with the process and the results. Mr. Chad Reed from Quartz Hill Water District, that's the Southern California region near Palmdale, Lancaster. He's the general manager of their water utility down there. He will be joining us in March as our new water utility director. Very happy to bring on board his experiences and skill sets. We believe that he's going to be a great match with the district. And we're looking forward to what he brings in kind of new innovative ideas to our community and the ratepayers. And likewise, IT director, we had a successful recruitment and the offer acceptance from Mr. Scott Crow. He comes to us from the University of Nevada, Reno here down the hill from us as their director of utilities, director of unified communications and network operations. He brings a wide range of experiences and skill sets that I think are going to be directly applicable to some of the challenges we face in terms of IT security, network development, upgrading of our communications, phone systems, things of that nature. And so we're really excited with bringing both these candidates on. I do want to just kind of anecdotally report out, we included a kind of an intermediate phase in our hiring and recruitment process that involved an offsite, out in the field leadership and team building activity with the top candidates for each of these positions. That participated in the group activity with our executive leadership team. Coincidentally enough, that began on December 13th, right when the snowstorms hit the community. So all of these candidates got to have a firsthand experience of what winter in Truckee feels like, literally, because it was an outdoor activity. and very happy to report out that all of the candidates showed a lot of grit and perseverance in the activity. So we are actually kind of piloted this process and plan on applying it to some of the other recruitments we have in the future. And I think it gave everyone an opportunity, both the candidates and the district, to see everyone's personality, communication styles, leadership styles, and how they engage with each other. So hopefully this is a process we can continue on in the future, and looking forward to both these gentlemen joining us and our team here in the coming weeks. Another topic that I've been given routine updates on has been the electric and water utility COVID-19 billing arrearages. Very excited and happy again to report out that the district did apply for COVID relief funding from federal and state programs. I want to commend our finance and customer service staff for the kind of, I think, at sometimes frustrating process of submitting data and applications. And I know it was a lengthy process and a lot of time spent for staff, but at the end of the path there, we had funding in the amount of $103,000 for the water utility. We did receive that check already. And for the electric arrearages, we have on its way $113,000. This is applicable for arrearages, I believe, and Mike Salmon can confirm this. I think it's applicable up to June or July of 2021. So the funds are applied for those arrearages up to that point. Is that correct, Mike?
That's correct, Brian.
And so we're still challenged with, billing delinquencies. The 90-day accrual right now for the district is, I think, exceeded $300,000. These funds will help get some of our customers, the qualifying customer arrearages, back in line. And we're looking forward to, like Director Harris said, getting past this COVID circumstance and getting back to some sort of normalcy there. We'll keep updates to the board as we move along on that topic. And then I kind of want to champion and celebrate a local collaborative success. I saw that Town Council had an item last week, I believe, on the Truckee River Legacy Trail, a great program. The Town Council approved that. I think it's a great project that we all can look forward to enjoying. Commend the staff over there at the town for putting together what I think is a pretty exciting project. And why I bring it up this evening is the district did a small role, but a role nonetheless. I want to thank the staff over there at the town working with our staff to establish a access easement. We brought this to the board several months back on a property item. And so the district had some contribution there in providing some access easements through our property there. And then our engineering team's working with a potential utility extension through their bridge. So a lot of great projects there. And I think it's, continuance of our theme of local collaboration. And that's all I have for this evening.
Good.
Well, that is great. It's good news all around. What a nice update this evening. I'm extremely happy to welcome our new directors on board. We're coming back up to speed and to scale, and that's wonderful. And yeah, great. I'm looking forward to being a fully operational Death Star. Okay, which brings us into our committee update this evening, which I believe is going to be presented by Stephen Ponsley. Do I have any public comments on the committee update? One would hope not.
No, President Finn.
Thank you very much. So Stephen, I hand it over to you.
All right, and all I need to do is get my video going. You can hear me?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second and get my video going. Apologize for that.
Even we could see it.
Okay.
Not now, but we could.
All right, there we are. Can you see it now? Good evening, President Finn and members of the board. This is the board committee update for the Broadband Committee. So history on the Broadband Committee, you've seen it before. It's part of the board's strategic planning process in 2021. And the board established this committee. We've had multiple meetings. The committee's made excellent progress. I'm happy to report. They established a monthly schedule that has been adopted to the Zoom protocols as well. And they agreed with the initial GM task force project scope and objectives. And I'll quickly put them up there again because we've seen them before. But the key goals were identify stakeholders, potential partners, and local resources, develop scope of work for a feasibility study, identify options for a potential organization structure, that's the models, and then funding, of course, always very important. So they did have their monthly meeting on January 13th, so I'm providing an update for that. They did adopt Resolution 2022-01, similar to the one the board adopted tonight for the Zoom meeting remote protocols. They continue to pursue the goals and objectives as established, and they continue to strive towards a March 2nd, 2022 regular district TDPUD board meeting to present their recommendations. So I could say they're very eager to do so. At the July 13th meeting, the overall broadband committee had worked broken into 3 supply groups, and they continued to refine, the supply group, individual group recommendations, along with consolidating into an overall recommendation. The supply group did meet with the district's IT and Plymouth Sierra Telecom technical people and really had an in-depth discussion. So I appreciate that. And they continue their work. The demand group is making the demand case. And so they're representing that well. And benchmark funding's really working on models and funding, and depending on which model you pick, it opens up, various fundings. And so that's an ongoing discussion as well. There is no direct fiscal impact with this item. And I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Directors, I'm going to go in reverse order this time. If we have any comments on this presentation, I'm going to start with Director Aguirre.
I have nothing.
Thank you very much. Vice President Bender.
Thanks for the update, Stephen, and things are moving forward. All right.
Yeah, looks good.
Thanks.
Director Harris.
No, I don't have any questions. I will say that when I speak to people in the community, broadband is always one of the hottest topics. So I'm excited to see a little more movement on it and look forward to the presentation in March.
Thank you, Director Harris. And I also am very pleased and grateful with the support that we're getting from the community to help us forward this particular goal with our strategic plan. It's very gratifying. So I'm excited to see, I'm excited to hear the presentation in March. Thank you very much, Stephen. Okay, and this brings us to our consent calendar. Do we have any public comments on the consent calendar this evening?
No, Madam President.
Thank you, Shauna. Directors, does anybody have any questions or want to pull something from the consent calendar? I do not.
I do
Okay,
not.
I saw a thumbs up from Director Bender. How do you feel, Director Harris?
I feel good. I had one just small question, and I don't know if you're able to answer this or not. I don't have the package in front of me, but on my notes, I put that there was something in there that says something's not budgeted, but part of Cal OES funds.
So Madam President, if I can interrupt, I think it'd be appropriate to pull that item for discussion and take action on the rest of the consent calendar. And then Director Harris can ask her question and hopefully have it answered.
That's, that's okay. I trust the information. It was just kind of for my own information, but I was still planning on voting, affirmative.
Okay, I was just saying as a matter of procedure, If
Okay.
even any discussion on an item really should pull it from the consent calendar.
So are we okay not pulling it and just a
Yeah,
motion on consent? Okay,
no need to
Okay.
pull.
thank you. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar as proposed.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Shauna, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Aguirre,
Yes,
Director Harris,
Yes,
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we are just banging it out tonight. On to our action items. We have action item number 15 is consideration for approval of electric and water utility development agreements for the Soaring Ranch offsite infrastructure improvements. So hopefully we will be authorizing our general manager to execute the electric utility and water utility development agreements with JMR2 LLC for the Soaring Ranch offsite infrastructure improvement projects. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to General Manager Wright. And then yes.
Madam President and board members, I have to recuse myself. I have a conflict. My firm represents JMA, which is an entity that is affiliated with the counterparty to these agreements, JMR2 LLC. I know the staff report indicated that I had reviewed these agreements. I have not reviewed either of these two agreements that are before you tonight. I have not participated at all on behalf of the district or JMAR in the preparation of these agreements. So with that said, I will recuse myself and I'm going to stop my video and audio feed, and the clerk may want to do that on her end as well.
Steve, before you take off, I do have a procedural because I'm going to be leaving here in about 5 minutes. Is it appropriate for me to just leave now prior? Because I have a feeling that this presentation will take me past the time that I need to go.
Completely up to you,
Okay.
completely up to you. I appreciate your sensitivity to not disrupting the flow of the meeting, but it's your call.
Okay, I'll sit in then for a few minutes. And then the other question I have is, maybe this is a question for Brian, is if we should have another legal review.
I'm gonna cut my feed. Thank you.
Okay.
I was going to ask the same. Who do we go to for guidance now on our legal matters?
So I'll answer that question. Let me pull up the presentation, but so what Council Gross was explaining is that he hadn't reviewed this particular development agreement and with respect to the terms of the agreement. That's something for staff to lay out in negotiations with the developer. Council Gross has reviewed the form of the development agreement. So it's a standard form agreement that has been reviewed by council in the past. We've used them with other development agreements in the past. But to his point, due to conflict, he has not done the review of the terms. And so I did inquire with him, not on the details of the terms, but that it would be appropriate for staff to negotiate those with the developer, and he was in agreement with that. So I'll do the presentation and happy to answer any questions after that. I'm going to share my screen here, and it might take a second for me to pop this up. Can you all see that? Thumbs up. Good. So this is action item number 15, consideration for approval of electric and water utility development agreements for the Soaring Ranch offsite infrastructure improvements. So this evening's item is in front of you because in district code, it does specify that applications for new construction and upgrades of infrastructure on the water or electric services that total more than $400,000 in total value require development agreement, 1, and 2, it must be presented to the board for approval. And so a little bit of background here. Pardon me while I move some items on the screen so I can read this. The district and the developer have executed a development agreement back in June of 2019 for both electric and water utility distribution systems constructed for services to Soaring Ranch Phase 1, which includes the Rayleigh's Grocery Market, the new grocery market over there at the intersection of Soaring Way and Georgia Ranch or Georgia Drive. So that development Phase 1 included the Rayleigh's Market and some additional retail in that shopping center. And so that was Phase 1 was the development agreement that was related to the infrastructure constructed on their development property. Phase 2 included the off-site infrastructure that was necessary for the overall Soaring Ranch development and the Georgia Ranch specific plan. And we'll go through some details here. We have received a development application from the developer group JMAR2 for completion of off-site electric and water utility infrastructure improvements associated with Phase 2 of their project at Soaring Ranch. This Phase 2 will consist of approximately 33,000 square feet of ground level commercial space and 69 multifamily rental apartments. The location of this new development is adjacent to Phase 1, which is the Rayleigh's property or Rayleigh Shopping Center. And this is just to the south of that next open area. And so the developer intends to construct within the town Truckee right-of-way off-site infrastructure improvements to support the Georgia Ranch specific plan. And that's what we're discussing and reviewing this evening as it relates to the PUD infrastructure. So the off-site improvements included both electric and water utility distribution system infrastructure. This includes the completion of electric utility connecting loop from the intersection of Soaring Way and Georgia Drive and around over to where people are familiar with the Truckee Tahoe School District bus barn facility. And then it also includes some water infrastructure, a connecting loop from the same intersection over to our existing infrastructure by Riverview Park. And I have a couple maps here just to give reference of what we're talking about. So this is specific to the water utility. This green area isn't to scale. It's not the specific Phase 1 and Phase 2, but it's the general area of the Rayleigh's development Phase 1 and Phase 2 that includes the additional retail and apartments. And so the red dotted line there is the outline or pathway, generally speaking, of where the new water utility infrastructure will connect to the existing infrastructure there over by Riverview Park and where the TSD yard is. And so the purpose of this is it provides a looped connection for the district's water infrastructure so that we can adequately supply both domestic, commercial, and fire protection needs for these developments. There's a similar development of an infrastructure improvement for the electric side. And so that same pathway, but for the electric utility, we don't have existing facilities at Riverview Park. So the connection is closer to the bus barn down there that provides basically utility infrastructure over to the Martis Valley Circuit. And so both these constructions of infrastructure will be included in the development agreement for Phase 2 of the Soaring Ranch development. There is no direct fiscal impact related to this specific item because it is a development agreement where the developer plans to complete the construction to district engineering and construction standards. They account for the engineering time for the district and inspections and the overall construction. I can tell you that it's tentatively planned to begin this summer, pending a couple other administrative processes for the development agreement or the development process with Georgia Ranch and JMAR. But we anticipate either this summer or shortly thereafter, these projects will be done. So the general manager or the recommendation from staff this evening, authorize the general manager to execute an electric utility and water utility development agreements with JMAR2 for the Soaring Ranch offsite infrastructure improvement project. And I'd happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Brian. First, I'm going to ask for public comment. Do we have any public comments on this item this evening?
No, President.
Thank you, Shauna. And I'm going to open it up to director discussion. Do we have any comments or questions? Yes, Shauna.
Oh, I was just gonna say, during the meeting, I know that Director Harris has to leave and we just need to note that in the minutes. So whenever you're ready to go, just let me know so we can note that in the minutes.
Okay, can I just say my comment super quick and then go? Brian,
Please.
thank you very much for that. It appears that the new infrastructure is going to go along where the road is. And yeah, it appears reasonable. So thank you for your presentation and, you know, bringing the visuals of it. The maps always help out.
Very
And now
good.
I'm going to sign off. I'll see you guys in about an hour.
Thank you, Director
Hey.
Harris.
Thank you.
All right.
Any other director questions, comments? Discussion?
I'm all good. Thanks,
See-
Brian.
Yeah, I'm all good too. It's a development. They're doing it. We are going to turn on the water and the lights for them at some point. So I also am good. Director Aguera, are you confident?
I'm okay with that. I went over it a little bit with Brian before the meeting. So I'm okay with it as it was presented.
Great. Then do we have a motion?
I'll authorize the general manager to execute electric utility and water utility development agreements with JMAR2 LLC for the Soaring Ranch offsite infrastructure improvement project.
And I will second that.
Oh,
So we can both second it.
go ahead.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Thank you. Director Aguera,
Yes.
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Fenn. Thank you. I will let District Council Gross know that he may come back.
Very good. Thank you. And while that is happening, we're going to move to action item number 16, which is monetization. What a great word, of current low carbon fuel standard credits. So we've got two pieces to this. We're going to authorize the general manager to execute an agreement with Northern California Power Agency to enter into their market purchase program, which facilitates the sale of LCFS's credits on the district's behalf, and also to authorize the general manager to sell district-owned low carbon fuel standard credits in the LCFS market of a quantity up to 1,100, which is estimated to result in an unbudgeted revenue and restricted cash funds to the district in the amount of $148,000 to $156,000. There we go, range. And this will be for the year 2022 and then hereafter annually. So now I believe we have a presentation from Mr. Keats. And I will mute. Thank you.
Thank you. Can everybody see the presentation and hear me? Great. Good evening, President Finn and the board. I am presenting our staff's recommendations on the monetization of our current low carbon fuel standard credits. And I guess I would first start off with an apology for probably the longest staff report that many have had to sit through. My engineering brain, I think, took over, and by the time I was done, I'd realized what I had done. I think that given the length of the staff report, we could probably make this presentation fairly short, but feel free to bring up any questions that you guys might have regarding additional background information. In summary, the low carbon fuel standard program is a cap and trade program that is run by the California Air Resources Board, through which they provide carbon credits for any fuel, as they term it, that offsets traditional high carbon transportation fuels such as gasoline, diesel, etc. We are considered a load serving entity serving electricity, which when used to charge a battery powered car or other EV, then becomes a low carbon, is considered a low carbon fuel source that is replacing standard internal combustion engines. So we are considered as being a fuel pathway under the LCFS program. And in 2017, the board approved the district to register as a fuel pathway in the LCFS program through CARB and start earning credits for any electricity sold that specifically fueled transportation equipment. The credits we earn in two different ways. The first way, which is the vast predominance of the credits that we earn, are through what CARB calls non-metered EV charging. And it's an estimate that CARB puts together based on DMV registration of new EV vehicles in the Truckee area. They have some special math on their end that they use to estimate how much electricity goes into charging and then use of those electric vehicles in our territory that is unmetered. In addition to the base credits, we also earn credits through metered electricity usage, specifically for transportation electrification, and those are essentially the couple of EV charging stations that the district owns around town at Meadowview Park, at the train depot, and at Pioneer Center. And in terms of comparing one to the other, the credits that we receive from the EV chargers is very, very small comparatively. Just a couple of terms that might be useful: fuel pathways, Lcfs program, and LCF credits. I think we kind of went over them, but I think the fuel pathway might be a good one to review. That is the energy source that is used to fuel the transportation vehicle. So in our case, any electricity that is used to replace traditional fossil fuels in transportation. Before I go any further, can I ask if there are any questions about the background of LCFS program or what these credits are?
I do have a quick question about pathway credits. What about people who charge their vehicles in their homes?
Right. So that's considered a part of the non-metered EV charging.
Okay. Okay.
All right. There we go. Okay. Oh, a little too far there. Let's go back. There we go. Okay. Don't worry, I'm not going to go into all of the statistics and whatnot. I think the big takeaways here are the numbers in that box there. We registered in 2017, and that's when we started earning credits. And we earned credits on a quarterly basis from CARB. To date, we have not sold any of our credits. And so our account balance has continued to accrue. And so now we currently have 1,047 credits in our account with CARB. In reviewing the data, the staff has put together a general kind of forecasting model to try and estimate how quickly we will accrue credits moving forward. And we came up with an estimate of about 579 credits for the next budget cycle. We're about an average of like 317 credits per year for the next couple of years. So one of the reasons why we are recommending to sell these credits now is because the credit market right now is seeing somewhat of a downward trend. And what you see on the plot here to the left is the historical performance of the LCFS credit market. And as of Q4 2021, I think the value was in the mid $150 range. All of the research that I've done to date shows that it's dropped a little bit further to about $142. The exact value will depend on the sale itself, but that's approximately what we're looking at. And the intent of the program is to accelerate market adoption of low carbon fuels. So given that each credit represents a ton of avoided carbon emissions, we would expect that if the program is successful, that the market price for our credits will continue to decline as the program becomes more and more mature until finally all of the fuels are replaced with low carbon alternatives. such that it really doesn't make sense for us, economically to hold on to the credits for any longer than we need to. Along with the credits, however, there are some strings that CARB has attached to how we are allowed to spend any revenue that the credits generate. Funds that we receive from the credits have to fall within the general category of transportation electrification in terms of how we spend them. Thankfully, they do provide us with some amount of freedom to discern within those boundaries how to spend the credits, and some of the categories that they list are provided on screen here. They kind of fall into two general categories, one being incentives and the other being market outreach and education. However, there are two very specific areas that we're required to spend any revenue on, and those are the Clean Fuel Reward Program, which is a statewide program where folks get a point of sale rebate or discount on electric vehicles from the showroom floor. And beginning next year in 2023, 2% of the credits are base credits, not the pathway credits, just base credits, have to be spent, have to be given to the CFR program. In addition to that, CARB has some equity requirements for how the remaining credits are spent. The remaining credits are called holdback credits. Starting this year, 30% of the holdback credits have to be spent on equity programs or equity areas. And then that increases 10% each year after that, up to 50% in 2024 and thereafter. The sale process is fairly simple. NCPA provides a service to its members to sell, amongst other things, these LCFS credits. And the advantage there is that they're able to pool together LCFS credits from some of the smaller utilities into a larger pool that will be more attractive to a wider audience of buyers, so that we can get a better price for our credits in the market. In order to participate in that program, however, the district will need to sign into the program to allow NCPA to sell the credits on our behalf. Once we are a part of that program, then we simply transfer our LCFS credits in CARB's online tool over to NCPA in order for them to sell on our behalf. And then we report the proceeds to CARB in our annual report thereafter. One important date to note is that NCPA is currently expected to do their next LCFS pooling and sale in March 31st is the date that they reported to me. Staff have been working over the last year to redevelop and deploy expanded programs for the district, and those programs included transportation electrification components. We previously had rebates already in place for residential EV and commercial EV chargers. Now we have an additional source of funding so that we can expand the credits, or sorry, the rebates that we offer for them. So our plan is currently to maintain the existing rebate amounts, but try and push them a little bit harder in the community and see if we can get a wider adoption. Although we did add a $200 increase for residential EV chargers that are smart chargers, so Wi-Fi enabled, so that in the future the utility is able to either gather additional data on the charging, the charging profiles and usage, but also kind of looking forward to potentially having demand response capabilities, so that we can manage demand a little bit on the grid as transportation electrification starts to become much more widely adopted. One particular expansion of the program is main panel upgrade in the for residential customers. Right now we're planning about $1,000. That's probably going to increase a little bit, but this is in order to enable customers to electrify their homes, to expand. That we have a lot of old panels in the territory, so we need to get customers up to new panels in order for them to be able to put in EV chargers and heat pumps and whatnot. In addition to our rebate programs, we're also in conversation with Sierra Community House to see how we could incorporate some of this into some of the programs and activities that they currently do with our income qualified customers. As far as fiscal impacts, I'm happy to report that the fiscal impact will generate unbudgeted revenue of approximately $148,000, $150,000. We'll know specifics once we see what the final sales price is, but it'll be in that neighborhood. And then with an estimated about $45,000 each year thereafter. The funds will be deposited in a restricted cash account because there are strings attached, as we previously discussed. And programs have already been developed which meet CARB's requirements, and the associated expenses are already included in our department budget for the 22-23 budget cycle. Indirectly, the district will also see an increase in its revenue due to load growth associated with the addition of transportation electrification. The recommendation is to authorize the general manager to execute an agreement with the Northern California Power Agency to enter into NCPA's market purchase program, and to authorize the general manager to sell district-owned low carbon fuel standard credits in the Lcfs market up to a quantity up to 1,100, which is estimated to result in unbudgeted revenue and restricted cash funds to the district for year 2022 and annually thereafter. And if you guys have any questions, I am happy to answer. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Stephen. First, I'm going to ask, is there any public comment on this presentation this evening?
No, President Bennett.
Thank you, Shauna. And now I will open it up to board questions, comments, and discussion. And I'm going to start with, there's only 3 of us, so Director Bender, do you have any questions or thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I like that you're increasing the incentives, and this is kind of a nice surprise, a little income coming in and helping out the program some more. So thank you, Stephen. So
Thank you, Vice President. Director Aguirre, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I kind of thought that it's kind of an involved situation, this carbon credit thing. And I know that Brian knows about it, so I don't need to know everything that Brian does, but it's good that we get them and then turn it into revenue for us, and that's a pretty good thing for us, I think. I remember doing this another time. I know we've done it more than once, but this is the way to go. So this is great.
Thank you, Director Aguirre. And I just have a few nuts and boltsy questions kind of about our programs as they currently exist. And some of them are just, I just simply don't have knowledge of. For example, how much does a charger cost and how much does a smart charger cost?
Sure. A residential level 2 charger can range in cost from about $500 up to about $1,000, depending on how fancy they want to get them.
Okay, so our rebates are substantial. They're like covering the cost of. Okay, that's wonderful. That's a great answer. Thank you. So that answers a question for me to how does this fit into the equity component that we are required to fulfill? It seems like if we're covering the whole cost, it seems to me, looking at all the incentives that people have been given to do all sorts of things over time, it's rarely did it trickle down to the amount where it was useful to our lower income segments. So that is, that does. Of course, we have to buy them a car too, but that's fine. I'll leave it. That was that. That was the equity situation. Do we have, I mean, I guess this is, do we get credits for the renewable biodiesel that we, with the town and the fire district? I think we entered into that agreement.
We don't currently have a fuel pathway established with CARB for the renewable biodiesel, and I'm not too aware of any of the circumstances around that.
Excellent. And I think that's it for now. What are we, do we have, I mean, and I guess this is also a board for us to make that decision of this money at this point in time is going to fund our programs as they already exist to expand our rebate programs and our, is that correct? Is that currently our plan?
It will support expansion of the redesigned programs, yes. And then additionally, we have earmarked some of the funds to install some chargers at the district as part of the joint project at the CZTT.
Okay. Okay. Great. I think that's it for me. I'm obviously all for electrification and using, you know, setting these markets up to deploy this technology and yeah, let's do it. Let's keep moving and keep moving toward a cleaner world. So thank you very much, Stephen. I am ready to, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Thank you, Vice President Bender.
Second.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Director Aguirre. Can we get a roll call vote, Shauna?
You bet. Director Aguirre,
Yes.
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
The minutes will note that Director Harrison Laliotis are absent.
Thank you. Which brings us to action item number 17, award of the district pipeline replacement. 2022 construction contract, award the district pipeline replacement. I'm doing a bad job of reading, I apologize. So we want to contract with C&D contractors in an amount of $2,681,035 plus a 10% change order allowance for $268,965 for a total authorization not to exceed $2,950,000. Whew. All right, let's hear it, Mr. Kaufman. Thank you.
Good evening, President Finn and members of the board. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see the presentation?
Yes.
All right, so
Go.
as President Finn noted, this is action item number 17. As the board is aware, the water department has an ongoing need to replace existing pipelines. The proposed pipeline replacement project are prioritized based in large part upon the following considerations. Pipes that are in poor condition and have historically required repeated leak repairs. Pipes that are old, undersized, and have exceeded their useful life. And we do work with the town of Truckee in order to work around their paving, maintenance, and replacement programs to the best of our ability. The pipeline replacement project for 2022 entails approximately 7,000 feet of pipe at 3 locations, Bull Pine Trail and Donner Trail Road. The second is Copenhagen Drive and also Swiss Lane. And those locations are shown here on the map. So the bid opening was held on January 11th. 5 bids were received. All 5 bids were responsive. As you can see on the chart, C&D Contractors from Nevada City was the low bidder. Now, in addition to the construction contract, we will have some related contracts, one for construction inspection, one for environmental services, and one for geotechnical testing. The contracts for construction inspection and geotechnical testing were approved by the board as part of the annual procurements back in December of 2021. Pipeline replacement projects are a core component of our 10-year Water Department capital improvement program. And as was noted previously, the bid price from C&D Contractors was $2.68 million. A 10% change order allowance is recommended with a total authorization of $2,950,000. So the fiscal year 2022 budget included just under $2.4 million for pipeline replacement. That total was based on an assumed project of 5,500 feet at an average cost of around $433 per foot. The total cost of the project we are currently looking at is estimated at a little over $3.1 million when including the change order allowance and the outside consultants. The factors driving up this total project costs are an increase in the total footage. So we're now looking at just over 7,000 feet of pipe. The average cost is just about the same, marginally higher, $441 per foot versus the $433 that we estimated. And I think as the board is aware, we are definitely experiencing volatility in the pricing of construction materials and labor, and we are looking at long lead times for some material procurements and deliveries. The materials on this project are relatively straightforward and simple: pipe, valves, fittings of that nature. And we did go ahead and perform this bid process earlier in the year than we normally would. We would typically, in a pre-COVID situation, we would have been bidding this project in March. However, we did accelerate that process into January in order to try and address some of these material shortage issues. The Water Department has sufficient funds to cover the potential overage in comparison to the budget. Our expected 2021 year-end fund balances for the Water Department are outlined here. $4.7 million in the Water Department operating reserve and about $1 million in the Water Department capital reserve. And the Water Department is working towards debt issuance to fund capital expenditures as described in the fiscal year 2022 budget. So the recommendation before the board this evening is to award the District Pipeline Replacement 2022 construction contract to C&D Contractors in an amount of $2,681,035 plus a 10% change order allowance of $268,965 for a total authorization not to exceed $2,950,000.
Great. Thank you very much for your presentation, Neil. Do we have any public comment on this item tonight?
No, President.
Thank you, Shauna. Directors, do we have any questions or comments on this particular item?
No, let's get some pipe in the ground this summer.
Apparently we are.
I feel exactly the same way. Yes, Director Aguirre, I'm sorry.
This is Neil. When is this project supposed to begin, or when are you shooting for?
Assuming that the board moves forward with an award this evening, we would expect construction to likely begin sometime in May. We are limited in terms of some regulatory requirements from the Regional Water Quality Control Board. So we really can't expect to get started much earlier than May 1st. Perhaps, late April if the weather kind of fizzles out like it's looking. However, we will work with the contractor to work out a schedule. And then once we have the schedule identified, we will be working with public notification in terms of the residents in the area and other traffic impacts that will occur from the project.
Oh, good. And I know that we're always working up there at Tahoe Donner. Have we been regularly working on that stuff up there? It seems like that never stopped. It just keeps going on and on. So this is a project to kind of bring everything up to speed then.
This will make a dent in it. We do have other needs in Tahoe Donner and in other portions of the district. I have a number of other pipeline designs that are in various levels of production. We have some areas in out in Sierra Meadows that we've identified as problematic. We have some areas in Glenshire as well. So the issues related to pipeline replacement are not strictly within Tahoe Donner. We do have other parts of the system that we will be bringing forward within the next few years.
Yeah, but Tahoe Donner seemed to be the thorn in our side. And, I've been on this board for a long time and sure seems like we're always, I remember Peter Holtzmeister and I had taken several rides up there, and one time we found like a creek going across the road and it was one of our leaks. So that's the time where we decided to hire different contractors for different projects up there. So thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Director Aguera. And I simply echo Director Bender's. Let's do it. It's very satisfying to approve a budget and then actually get stuff done. So thank you very much. Would anybody like to make a motion?
Oh, well, I'll make the motion to award the district pipeline replacement 2022 contract to C&D contractors in an amount of $2,681,035 plus a 10% change ordered allowance of $268,965 for a total authorization not to exceed $2,950,000. And that was under our estimated budget, wasn't it, Neil?
I'm sorry, what was the question, Director Aguera?
I said that was under our estimated budget amount, right?
It's a little over the amount that was included in the budget as I previously discussed.
Oh, I thought
On a per foot basis, however, we are right in line with what we were anticipating.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Shauna, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Director Aguera,
Yes.
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
The record will note that Directors Liotis and Harris are absent.
Very good. Thank you. And moving along to our routine business, we are going to approve the treasurer's report and fund balances for the month ended November 30th, 2021, and disbursements as well in the same motion for the month ended December 30th, 2021. Do we have any public comment?
No public.
Thank you. Director Aguera, were you going to make a motion?
Yes, I was. About all the comments done?
They are.
Okay, then I'll make the motion to pay these bills. and approve the report.
I'll second that.
Very good. Shauna, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Aguirre,
Yes,
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. And our final item this evening of routine business, approving the minutes of January 5th, 2021.
So moved.
Very good. I'll
second.
second. Very good.
Oh, okay.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Director Aguirre,
Yes,
Vice President Bender,
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Which leads us into our closed session. I'm going to request that we, before we move into closed session, if we could just take 5 minutes, a break, and then meet back in closed session. Does that work?
do that.
I
And
think
Madam
s-
Finn, you will read us into closed session with our items before we go in?
I will. Should I do that? I'm going to do that right now, and then we'll go for 5 minutes, and then we'll meet in. So in closed session, we have item number 20, closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiators. Brian Wright, General Manager, is negotiating for the unrepresented employees. And then after that, we have closed session pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, existing litigation, Nevada County Superior Court case number TCU 21-7920. So we will, I have 7:06. Let's just call it, say 7:15. So a few more minutes than 5, but that'll have a chance to eat something real quick. Is that okay? Work for everybody? Okay, we'll see you in closed session in about 12 minutes.
See you.
All right. Oh my God, I get worse every time I come on.
Are we all back? I don't see Brian yet. Oh, is
Brian
Brian-
is coming
Right.
into the room as we speak.
That's right. Okay. All right. Here we are. We're back in open session. We have no reportable action on item number 20. And for item number 22, I'm going to turn it over to Council Gross to report out.
Yes, thank you. So we do have reportable action with respect to item number 22, and this is the existing litigation. This is Truckee Donner PUD v. Kim Harris. And we're reporting out tonight that the board did approve a settlement agreement entered into by the.
Steve, are you talking?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? So the board approved the settlement agreement
Oh, I get.
with Kim Harris. I'm going to report out the essential terms of the agreement. I want to make it clear, though, that this agreement will not be finalized unless until it is approved by a court, and we will be submitting it to the court for approval as soon as we can. The essential terms of this settlement are that Ms. Harris admits that she breached her severance agreement that she entered into with the district upon her severance of her employment, that she will agree to strictly comply with the terms of the severance agreement going forward. The district will reimburse her portion of mediation fees. The board agrees that it will not use her admission that she breached the severance agreement as a basis to have her removed from her current position as a board member on this board. She has withdrawn her request that the district tender this lawsuit to its insurance carrier for defense. We have agreed that we will submit this agreement to the court for approval as required pursuant to Government Code Section 1090 and 1091. And we will be requesting that the court retain jurisdiction of this settlement agreement for a period of 10 years. The district will dismiss the complaint. And there are mutual general releases of claims and an additional provision by which Ms. Harris agrees that she will not defame, disparage, demean, or besmirch the reputation, character, image, or services of the district or any of its employees, contractors, board members. Those are the essential provisions of the agreement. As I said, it will not be finalized unless and until a court has approved it, and we would intend to report further after the court has acted on it. Shauna, I hope you got most of that, if not all of it.
I think I got it all.
Okay, very good.
Okay, well, thank you, Steve. And I think it's a wrap. That was a dense meeting we had this evening. So thank you all very much for your time and your contributions tonight. And I don't know, go.
Adjourn.
Yeah, we're adjourned. We're
Oh,
adjourned.
you know what? Did I say
Uh-oh.
that the board unanimously approved the agreement? I don't know if I reported unanimously. So
We did not.
this agreement was approved unanimously by the directors present, President Finn, Directors Aguera and Bender. Okay.
Thank you. Jeff, did you have something else that you were?
No, I was waving goodnight.
Okay, that's good. Perfect. I'm gonna wait. Good night, everybody. Thank you again very much, and we will see you
All right.
soon.
Good
Whew.
night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.